Hey geeks, Akshay Bhaskar this side. Welcome to another session, day two of Skill Dependence Days. And today we're going to talk about how you should actually begin with DSA. So your first step to DSA, we'll particularly talk about around that topic. And today the guest we are inviting, his name is Raghav Kark, and he is currently working as an SDE2 at Amazon, and he also worked at SDE2 at OYO. So it will be a great insight coming from him because he's been working really great in one of the top companies. So I would say just stay tuned till the end and ask your doubts. After once I ask the question, you can ask your doubts, and we'll try to solve as much as possible. Before that, let me read the comments as always. So hi Gargi, thank you. Keep commenting. Hi Dharmendra, thanks. Let me invite Raghav to the stream, and let us start asking some questions around how do you start with DSA. Okay. Hi Raghav, how are you?
Hey Akshay, what's up?
I'm good, thank you. So 80 people are live, and they're all eager to know. There are many college students also who haven't started with DSA, or they want some advice from you related to DSA. So they'll ask the questions also. But first, I have some questions for you. So let's start with a little introduction about yourself as to in your career, like as to how it is right now.
Okay, sure. So, hi everyone in the chat. Hi everyone who's watching this, and I'm Raghav. I come from Ghaziabad. I'm a software developer, currently working with Amazon as an SD2. And prior to that, I've worked with a couple of other organizations, namely OYO, FastFox, and so I'm a 2017 graduate. Back in 2017, I graduated from IIIT Allahabad, and I pursued my graduation in electronics and communication branch. So the reason I'm specifically mentioning that electronics and communication is just that a lot of times people have a misconception about it that in order to get into software development you actually have to have a background of CS or ITs in particular.
Yeah.
But it's just that that's a misconception. I mean, it's better if you have it sorted on your end prior to actually joining a college. Then you should definitely pursue a branch like CS and IT. But yeah,
Yeah.
in case you realize at a later point of time, then never, it's not late. It's never late. So you can always
Yeah.
switch to software development pretty easily. So yeah, so overall, I have a bit over 4 years of experience into development. Throughout this, I've been part of multiple organizations, multiple business processes, multiple technologies I've used, and it's like it's been a great experience till now, and I look forward to it. I look forward to it in the future. Similar set of experiences. Yep, that's pretty
Okay.
much about.
That's very well said, Raghav. So, as you said that you have 4 years of experience till now, so obviously you are the right person to tell the importance of DSA for your career. So, because DSA is something which everybody has to do, in my understanding. So, how important is DSA for the student's career, for your career?
DSA, I would say it's it's one of the most important things. Rather, I mean, if not one of the most important, rather I can say it's the most important thing if we talk in terms of a fresher, because software development is it's all about data structures and algorithms, because that's the underlying thing behind every application which is running at such a great scale. So the level at which the beauty with which these applications are created, such resilient systems, all of this is achievable only because the right set of data structures and algorithms have been applied, have been thought through during their develop
Yeah,
course
and
of
Raghav, you also told me about real world applications. Like I think if you can talk about that over here, you know what I mean. So importance of DSA for your career also, but you can also
Okay.
tell how it really the apps we use. For example, I use Amazon, and how
Mhm.
it is getting used in maybe Amazon delivery system. So something context basically in that sense, application wise, if you can
Yeah,
throw
sure.
some light over.
So I'll try to cover both of them in the same answer. So it's like
Yeah,
the importance of data structures and also the real time applications of it, so that people actually get a context of it. That why exactly are we using data structures and algorithms
yeah,
as a
yeah,
whole. So
yeah.
firstly, the main importance why data structures and algorithms structures are important is that once you actually get to become a part of software development industry, and when you're going in there as a fresher, in that case, a person who's hiring you, any organization that is hiring you, they basically, since you're a fresher, they don't have any data points on your prior work. Okay, because you haven't worked till now, right? You haven't been a part of professional industry. So whenever a company is hiring an individual, they're hiring for a long-term goal, and on
Hmm.
a long-term basis, if we think ourselves that who will be the candidate, who will be the right candidate that I, as the as the owner of an organization, would want to hire in my organization. So
Hmm.
it will definitely be an individual who's who's good at problem solving, who
Yeah.
basically has great implementation skills, who I
Yeah.
can trust with that, in case in case, in my company, in my business, if there's any sort of complex problem, this particular guy that I'm hiring will be able to resolve that particular thing in a optimized fashion, in an efficient fashion, and also he or she would be capable enough to implement that via a code. So that's what. And in order to judge that, data structures and algorithms, I think that's like one of the only medium that is there in order to judge that particular competency of
Hmm.
any candidate that an organization is
Okay.
hiring, because
Okay.
that gives an affirmation on your end that okay, you are able to think about a problem, you're also able to implement that in a code, and that too in an optimized fashion. So that's why the data structures and algorithms serve as the basic core competency that anyone who aspire to become a part of this industry should possess. And also, if I just, in order to make it more relatable, if I just
Hmm.
talk how exactly is these concepts being applied to in the real world scenarios. So if
Yeah.
you can see that as we call it, that this is the internet generation, right? So almost everything is happening these days on any mobile application, or in a web application,
Hmm.
and everyone is part of the internet in a very, so has become an integral part of our lives, right? And if we observe uh, within past 8 to 10 years, the data at which with which these companies are dealing, the number of internet users have grown exponentially, right? And if that number of users are growing exponentially, that literally adds up to the data with which these companies are dealing with, that also has grown to an exponential levels. Now, in order to manage such data, in order to give such a great user experience to any of us. So if you see that, when we're typing anything on Google, like within few milliseconds, we're just getting hundreds of suggestions, hundreds of web pages are turning up. So such things, they are, and if we just try to analyze the backstory of it, it has so
Hmm.
much data from which this information needs to be fetched, right, in
Yeah.
order to show it in an optimized fashion. Now,
Hmm.
if there is so much data to deal with, and such low latencies that we need to work with, in order to achieve a, a, a point, a satisfactory point of such level of applications, we
Hmm.
need to implement these all of this in a very optimized fashion, and that is only achieved when you decide the right set of data structures and algorithms while building your applications. So I would say
Okay.
that, it's like it uh, it serves as the basic building blocks of any software development process. So because it enables you to decide with the right set of things, right set of anything, and which enables you to scale up your applications, which enable to give probably the best experience to your users.
Okay. So it's basically the most important aspect when it comes to getting a good placement in any company. That is for
Exactly.
sure.
That is for sure.
Okay.
For a fresher, that is definitely true that, it's one of the most important things. As you progress in your career, and data structures is something that, that people assume that, you must be definitely knowing data structures, and that's the major reason that why you have uh, grown till such a level, and you have come so far in your career, right? So that becomes a competency which is expected out of you, out of the box, right? And it's just that on top of that, there are some other parameters that a person needs to be judged upon in his probably later years of the career. But yeah, if we talk for a fresher specifically, then data structures is, one of like, it has the maximum weightage whenever you actually need to be a part of software development, I would say.
Okay. All right. So, my next question to you would be, how should one begin with DSA? Like, for example, if I'm just starting fresh, also a follow-up question to this, that if somebody is in his 11th or 12th standard, maybe some advice to those people, also students, school students also, and also someone who is in college and maybe want to start with DSA. So, how should one do that? Like, how should one begin with DSA?
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I mean, there are plenty of resources out there. I mean, I personally started with Geeks, to be honest, and like, that was the my first step to DSA. So it's like,
Yeah.
I just ended up on that side. I just read about various data structures, various algorithms, and trust me, I'm not saying that because I'm on this platform. I'm on Geeks platform. It's just that I have had a very great
Good
experience
that you
myself.
clarified. Good that you clarified, because it might look to the students that we said, I
Exactly.
might say anything, guys.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I've had a
Yeah.
great experience with Geeks, and that has been, one of my first go-to options whenever I need to probably read about any data structure or I read about any problem. So it the way the things were uh, organized over there actually serves a very, they serve you in a very great manner. So a person, a beginner, has the complete visibility of what he needs to actually begin with. So I would say that if you have decided that you need to, at some point of time, you need to start with your data structures and algorithms. So firstly, the first step should be to learn a language. Okay. Once you're sorted with that, after that, you need to actually figure out the basic data structures which are out there. So by basic, I mean, there are a lot of basic data structures like arrays, linked list, and you can find a lot of resources out there on internet. There is, plethora of resources which gives you questions, which gives you information about every data structure algorithm out there. So you should just, you can read about the concepts, you can try to solve basic problems of it, and that's how you will get a hang of it. And once you start feeling comfortable, once you actually get to know the real importance of that particular data structure, once you're able to relate that where exactly probably can you use such a data structure in any of the problems where you actually don't know beforehand that what is it that you're going to use. So if you get such a hang after some sort of practice, in that case, you can advance to probably some tougher level of problems or some advanced data structures. But yeah, to begin with, I would say just pick up the simple data structures, just read about them. Firstly, just get a language sorted. I mean, try to learn a language, try to learn basic implementation, basic coding in the language. Just try to analyze upon basic components, like looping, conditional statements, and variable declaration, stuff like that. So just try to get that. After that, just try to read over basic data structures, try to solve some problems starting from easy level. Then, and that's how you'll progressively, from easy you'll reach till medium level, and then that's how you keep on advancing. But yeah, and in terms of resources, there is plenty of them out there which are freely accessible, so that's never a problem. And Geeks for Geeks is like one of those which I've personally used. So yeah.
Okay, great, man. Thank you. So my next question to you, Raghav, is that can you bag a good placement by just getting proficient in DSA?
I would say, see, data structures is important, is definitely one of the most important things, but it might not be the only parameter that you'll be judged upon. Okay.
Okay.
Because coming as a fresher, there are some other aspects also, like basic computer science fundamentals that you're also expected to be knowing about. Okay. And there's also and it like, to be honest, these hirings, they differ a lot. The hiring process differ a lot from company to company. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we talk about, let's say, so I've been an interviewer a lot of times. I've taken a lot of interviews,
Mhm.
personally given a lot of interviews. So with that, the what I can analyze is that data structures definitely serve as the major judging criteria, because like if a person is not good at data structure and coding, data DSA and coding, in that case that's a major red flag in terms of hiring that particular candidate. But if he or she is good at data structures and all, then in order to add the icing on the cake, you should also be, as a fresher, you should also be good at some basic computer science fundamentals. For example, you should be having sufficient knowledge about operating systems or database management systems, and you should also be having you should also have been doing some great projects yourselves, so as part of your college projects and all. And these are some things that you can be judged upon as a fresher. They, I won't say that they have the major weightage. The major weightage definitely goes to data structures and algorithms, but yes, they also significantly contribute to the chances of you getting placed in any of our organization. So let's say if two people are competing for the same role and they're equally good at data structures and algorithms, so a person who's having a greater greater knowledge about the rest of the things, who has a proper a broader exposure of the rest of the computer science fundamentals, who has probably proven to be doing some great projects by themselves, so they definitely get an edge over the other candidate, given the
Okay.
fact that both of them are equally good at data success and all. So I mean, the more you practice, the more you try to cover the breadth of software development of computer science fundamentals, the more chances you are creating for yourself in order to get placed. So that's what data
Okay.
structures important, but a little bit of this and that contributes, acts as the icing on the cake. So you just can't completely outrule that fact.
Okay. Okay, fine, great. Okay, so which programming language should one prefer for DSA, or as you mentioned earlier, but I just want to specifically, if you can tell us, like which is
Okay.
one which is easy to understand first or computer wise, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, programming languages. Firstly, in many of the organizations, that is not a constraint. I mean, many of the organizations, at least if I talk about Amazon, if I talk about Google, they're not hiring you based upon a particular programming language, because it's expected out of you that if you're able to code your solutions in any of the language, then you will be able to grasp the other technology as well pretty quickly, because that's just a mere syntax difference most of the times. There are some other concepts involved, definitely, but yeah, ramping up with the technology in order to be able to code in it won't take that much time. Okay, so to be honest, you can just start up with any language of your choice, but yeah, you should definitely go with some some language that offers you object oriented principles, because that's what is being used out there in industry, and every organization works on some or the other object oriented language. So if I just have to code some, then you can definitely you can start with Java, you can start with C++, you can start with Python. So I started with C++ because that's like one of the most common languages that is being taught in colleges when you enter the college and all. So that's why I think most of the people start with C++. But yeah, you can start with Python as well. Python has a pretty easier syntax as compared to other languages. It's a bit more higher level language than Java and C++ and all. So the ramping up time with Python is not that great, and you actually get the hang of coding, and you can within a very limited amount of time you can start actually developing with Python. So Python can be a great choice. Java can be a great choice. Java
And Ruby, somebody is asking about Ruby. Ronak is asking that is Ruby recommended, that he generally prefers.
Ruby is also again a very great language. I mean, it's a pretty high level language, and it has a very easy ramping up time, and it gives you it's more like English, to be honest. I have personally worked a lot in Ruby back in Oyo. So it's just that while deciding with a language, if if you're deciding it yourself, you should firstly, I should say, you should target the community support of it, that how famous a language is. if you're going out of the way and just choosing some unique language altogether, in that case, uh, there's a very less chance that you will be coding in that particular language when you actually become a part of any industry, any company. And also it's possible that if it's less famous, it might not be having that great community support. You might be actually struggling with some pieces. So it's good to go by a language that is famous, that is being used in the industry in these days, and that offers you object oriented principles. So anything works fine, to be honest. I mean, Java, Python, C++, Ruby, anything, JavaScript, all of these languages are pretty decent, and all of them have a great scope out there in the industry. So that's never a constraint.
Okay. Before we jump onto the doubt solving segment, my last question to you is that in general, do you have any tips for our geeks, like in terms of preparation?
Uh, I mean, I don't have
Something
any.
you something you
Yeah,
you thought that was a hurdle in your preparation and you learned it later in your career, maybe something around that.
yeah, I definitely can share that. So, as I previously mentioned, that I come from electronics and communication background, right? So, I initially, in the initial phase of my college life, I hadn't been doing this coding, data structures, algorithms at all. I mean, it was just that I did some to some extent in first year, because that was like a common course. But I realized at a later point of time that this is probably that I want to pursue as a full-time career. And it has great opportunities, it has great exposure, and that's why it's just that I realized it at a later late point. I realized it pretty late. And it's just that I was fortunate enough to cover the basic required things in a small span of time. But it's just that I feel myself that if I go back, I go back 6 years back, in that case I will start doing the same things uh, probably 2 years earlier. In that case, I'll have the bandwidth to cover all of these things in a much detailed manner, which I actually learned in my professional years. So if I would have been aware at that point of time, in that case, this ramping up that I actually did in my professional years would have done back in college only. So I would suggest that if you're sure about your career option, what you want to pursue, and if you are going to choose software development as your career option, then in that case, the sooner you start, the better it will be for you. Because in that case, you'll be having uh, it's just that you'll be going slowly, you'll be going steadily, and also you have the complete bandwidth to dig deeper into the finer details of these individual competencies. Also, you won't have to pressurize yourself that you are probably left out with very less amount of time and you need to cover a lot of things, because if you're doing it in a very time framed manner, then things seem a lot complex, because there is so much data to consume and there are so many resources. So if you're doing it in a very less amount of time, then that becomes a problem. So people just get overwhelmed in that scenarios. So the sooner you start, the more easily you would be able to cover these aspects in a more detailed fashion. And you will be actually able to maintain the balance between your academics, your balance between your personal life. You'll be able to hang out with your friends, party with your friends, and you do whatever. And side by side, simultaneously, you will be able to be good at data structures and algorithms, and you're covering all the competencies which are required out of you to actually become a successful software developer and to ace these software development interviews. So I would just recommend that start start early, and be dedicated towards it. Be consistent. Just dedicate small amount of time. Not you just don't have to invest all your waking hours into a single thing. Just dedicate small amount of time, but do it in a consistent manner, so
Okay.
you will be able to achieve whatever you desire. That's actually possible.
Okay. That's great, Raghav. Raghav, thank you so much for answering my questions, the questions we had. Now I can see a lot of questions in the comment section. You can also see the comment section on the right side. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can also go through the comments and chat geeks. We are now taking up some questions and we'll try to solve as many as possible. So keep putting in your questions and don't spam, guys. Please respect that everyone should get a equal opportunity. And let's start. Raghav, tell me which question, first question you want to talk about. Just tell me the name of the person and find the comment and put it in the banner.
Okay, all right. So, you know, let's say
If you can
I'm
start
just
from the top or
yeah.
from the bottom, because otherwise it will be very, very
I'll
difficult
just
for me to
I'll
find
just
it.
I'll just do it in the queue manner. First come, first serve.
Okay,
Cool.
makes
So
sense. Let's
yeah,
go start.
small joke.
Let's start
If
from the top.
people are aware of queues, they'll
No
get it.
salary discussions there, please. So somebody is asking question, okay, please specific salary. No salary discussions.
No salary discussions. I mean, you can
Yeah,
actually get that insights on a lot of places. And
yeah,
so, which language is best to DSA with? I think we already answered that. And
yeah.
okay, so Ayushi Yadav is asking, I want like to know, I'm in first year. Do please tell me about which
Okay,
language are important and which I have to focus. Yeah, again,
okay.
this is the same thing. I think we have already covered. Language, Ayushi, doesn't actually matter. I mean, in most of the colleges in the first year itself, you're taught C and C++. So that's why most of the people start with that. But if you want to, it's just that C++ is not that famous in these days because it's like the newer organizations, which are the newer startups, which you'll get to see. So all of these, most of them are not working on C++. So a lot of them are either working on Java, Python, or JavaScript, Ruby. So the higher level languages. So it's better if you start up with any of these languages, because in that case you'll have an edge over other candidates in terms of hiring as well. Because if you already are aware of a particular set of technology that is being heavily used by an organization that you're getting hired for, in that case they will definitely give you a priority over other candidates. But in the it's just that I'm not saying that if you don't know a particular language, so people will just completely reject you right away. It's not like that. People don't uh, give a preference to a particular programming language. There are definitely some organizations which do hire for a particular technology specifically, but yeah, those scenarios are less. And on a normal basis, most of the companies are hiring in a general scenario, and assuming that you'll be if you are capable enough of solving problems and implementing those solutions in any language, then you're assumed to be smart enough to ramp up with any different set of technology pretty quickly. And since organizations are hiring you with a long term goal, so that doesn't really is a problem. I hope I answered that part.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So next in the queue is Shriyansh, and I think his question is really good. So let me pin it for you. So he asked that I have heard that DSA only helps in entering into a reputed company, but inside the company, DSA has no specific importance. Is it true?
That's not true, to be honest. I mean, because see, as I said, the basis of all of these things that you're using, all of these languages, everything, internally, everything has been implemented using various data structures and algorithms. It's just that as we are growing in terms of the technology, in terms of how we are building out products, so a lot of finer details have been abstracted out for you. It's just that you probably don't have to implement basic algorithms from scratch while you're using or while you're working on a already common framework. For example, like, I'm not sure how many of you would be aware of sorting. So sorting is like a very simple thing, right? That you just need to, let's say you need to sort a list of elements. Now everyone knows that if you know about sorting, you would be knowing that the best case time complexity that we can get in sorting is like n log n. Okay. Now, in order to actually write a code with n log n time complexity, you will definitely, it will definitely take you some time, because that complete implementation has to be written from scratch. Okay. If you're implementing a merge sort or quick sort solution, it'll definitely take some time. But in all of these languages, you have already pre-built functions. Like you can just take a list, you can just take an array, you can do call the sort function of it. It will just sort the array for you right away, right? And you might be thinking that, I'm just calling that function. Why exactly do I need to learn about that sorting function? How is it working?
Yeah.
You definitely need to know, right? Because
Okay.
that is something that has been implemented for you. But your job is not just to leverage those things, but your job is to leverage those things and also to build something on top of it, which can be even more optimized. It's just that some things are provided to you out of the box so that you don't have to implement the things which are already implemented,
Already
which
there.
can be just leveraged out of the box.
But
But
definitely by using data structures, you also make new things, right? New libraries or
exactly,
something.
exactly, exactly. So everything you're forming, so you are at every point of time, you're just deciding that, okay, which particular data structure would I be using in order to store this information? So what
Mm.
exactly is a data structure? Like if I talk about that, it's just the way of storing data, right? So you can probably, if you have a use case where
Yeah.
you have limited number of elements that will be just accessed in a, you can just store it in an array of a limited size. If you have, if you don't have any limits to that particular incoming elements, then you, in order to store that, you'll be probably using a linked list, which doesn't offer you any limit on the sizing factor. So it's just that at every point of time, you actually need to decide which data structure do you need to choose in order to achieve this thing. And
Yeah.
which and also when you're solving some complex problems, so the algorithms for those you're building right from scratch. It's just that probably while building those, you are already leveraging an already built algorithmic paradigm. Okay, but on top of that, you're doing some sort of enhancements. So this
Mm.
itself is an algorithm, right? It's just
Yeah.
not that algorithm is just not the ones which are listed on any of the site like Geeks or all and all. Algorithm is anything. Algorithm is just a way to solve a problem. So an optimized algorithm is an optimized way of solving a problem. So there are few algorithms which are out there which have been, which define a particular way of programming, and it's just that they have been already implemented for you, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You don't have to again and again implement things from scratch, because that's not what an efficient development process will look like.
Mm.
You can so that's why, in order to facilitate us developers, we developers only have, built such frameworks which can provide the already built functionalities out of the box. On top of that, we do our we just put on our thinking hats, and we just develop more optimized algorithms on top of that in order to achieve a complex problem, probably.
And it's
It's
very,
anyway.
very, very well put. I would say, like I got much more clarity. Because so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So next question. Do you want me to go that first come first serve queue
Yeah, I
fashion?
was just kidding about it. You can just go in any order. Any
Okay,
order.
because people who
Random.
are just putting in questions will get demotivated and stop putting in
Exactly,
questions.
exactly, exactly. I was just kidding.
Anyways, so yeah, you go through the comments and let me know. I'll just pick. I'll just find.
Okay, so okay, Sidhu Mirchi. Okay, I'm not sure whether I'm reading your name right or not. But
Okay.
this guy has asked that what is the best way to practice? Like daily 2 to 3 hours for 6 months would be enough. See, it's not about there's no particular definition that, to give 2 hours daily, and for 6 months, you at the end of 6 months you'll be done with everything. It definitely depends upon the your level of understanding. How well are you utilizing those 2 to 3 hours? How and what exactly are you reading? I mean, because it's not just about the number of hours you're putting in, it's also about the direction in which you're putting those hours. Because in that, if that direction goes wrong, in that case, even if you put 10 hours on a daily basis, you will land up nowhere after 6 months. You probably would have, done PhD on some of the competencies, but some of the major competencies might have been left out. So the direction matters. The depth till which you are covering things matter. So I won't say that, just spend all your hours onto solving easy problems or just medium problems. It's just that, you need to plan out that how much are what all firstly plan out for yourself that what are the basic things that you need to cover, and I would recommend that try to solve their easy and medium level problems initially. Don't just right away jump into the hard section, because hard section is not something that is being asked very frequently. And in I would say that in if you appear for 100 interviews, in 90 of them you won't be asked any hard problem as such. You'll be asked easy or medium problems. Okay, so if you're spending a lot of time trying to solve or trying to come up with a hard solution, and you're just actually consuming all your complete bandwidth into something, into one problem in which probably you would have done five medium questions, in that case I would say that you should definitely go by solving five medium questions, because that is enabling you to cover the breadth. And covering the breadth is also something which is very significant, which is very important. It's just that cover a breadth till a particular depth. Okay, and that depth I would say sh- covering it till medium level should be your priority. After that, if you have any remaining bandwidth, just pick up those sections one by one, try to cover their hard problems, try to see what are they trying to say, try to analyze whether you are able to solve them or not, and just not consume so much time into, don't take it in a egoistic way that I just need to do this question, I just need to solve it. If you have already spent sufficient amount of time over it, I would say please go about it, just read over the solution, just try to analyze whether this is something that you actually could have thought about. If yes, in that case just try to work on it the next time. If this is something that you probably wouldn't have thought about actually, and this is something that you realize for yourself, and I think everyone would be so much aware about themselves. So if you analyze that this is something that probably you wouldn't have been able to come up with, in that case I would say just try to go over that solution, try to analyze if it has something new to offer, and if that would be something that you can retain for the rest of your time. I mean, if that can be retained in your head. If that is something that you probably have to memorize, I would say don't spend much time on it. You can just leave it. You can probably use your bandwidth over something which actually is adding up to your knowledge set, is adding up to your uh, to something that you can actually feel satisfied about, that yes, you have learned something new which you know how to use and when to use, rather than just memorizing some concept which you are definitely going to forget after 2 weeks if you don't read it again. So reading about such things, wasting time over such things, is not that useful, I would say. And the number of hours, 2 to 3 hours, devoting 2 to 3 hours regularly for a 6 months period is definitely a good amount of practice. And but yeah, there's no static answer for that
Yeah,
yes, after
true.
2 to 3 hours, 6 months, you'll grab anything. It's not like that. I can't just say that, right? So but yeah, it's
That's
definitely, if you're doing it in the right direction, if you're doing it in the right manner, you should be able to grab something good out of it. That's decent.
okay. 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 Cool. Next question, Raghav.
Sure.
Uh,
Do
you can
you
tell me.
want me to pick, or are you gonna pick?
You tell me.
Okay, let's just pick from somewhere middle, somewhere in the middle. Uh, how to build programming language. So Ishan Chanpura is asking how to build
No.
programming logic for DSA. Proper steps to solve a problem, please. Okay, that's something that a lot of people actually struggle with, that how exactly you should come up with the problems. So Ishan, I would say that it doesn't happen overnight. You just don't you know it's not that you read about something and then from the next day onwards you'll be able to build solutions out of it. You'll be able to put that data structure in any of the possible use cases. It doesn't happen like that. The diplomatic, and actually it's the correct answer also. So the diplomatic and correct answer for this question would be, the more practice you do, the better you will get at it. And eventually you yourself would get when you have practiced to some great extent, you yourself start getting the hang of it. You start developing that intuition yourself, that if you're just looking at the question. So all of these questions, to be honest, they seem to have a pattern. Okay, And this pattern is something which you automatically tend to analyze once you have done a significant amount of questions of these individual competencies or topics. And once you have done that, you yourself try to analyze that as soon as you get to see a question. You yourself see that, okay, this is something that probably, okay, if I'm just for example, if you are given a problem which is wrapped around in pretty very complex words, or it's a problem statement in itself, in that case, but you are able to extract out of it that, okay, I just need to get out maximum elements from this in best time complexity possible. In that case, you'll yourself analyze at a later point of time that, yes, this is something where I can probably use binary heaps, and that would serve my purpose. And if there, basically, there's no specific approach to it that this is how you should do, and you'll get to it. It just involves the amount of practice you're doing. But I would suggest that, in order to achieve that in a great manner, just try to move towards it gradually. Just firstly try to get thorough with the language itself. Just try to analyze the different components of the language, then try to analyze the data structure, that why is it being used, what and then try to solve some easy level problems of it. After that, you will start developing an intuition towards that particular data structure or that particular algorithm. It's just that go step by step. Don't try to jump into the to the best thing right at the beginning. It's just that start with the brute force approach. Try to formulate your thing that, okay, this is how, probably a lot of times you can just see the things happening that, okay, this is how you should do. It's just that you're not able to articulate those things in a algorithm. So for that, you can probably try doing step by step. Just like, if you refer to any article on Geeks for Geeks, they just clearly mention the approach, the algorithm, and step by step. So that's how you should also try doing it for yourself, that how exactly would you be proceeding in the approach that you're thinking about. You should also write very minute steps, because a computer won't assume things. You'll have to actually write everything, right? So you don't have to take granted for probably for some minor steps. You have to actually keep a note of everything that you're planning to do in, and even the very minute step. And once you have such a structure and a proper process ready, try to implement that using code, and you have all the tools with you, given the fact that you have the complete or the necessary knowledge about any language. And it
So
will be
next we can take Shubham's question. So he's asking how to decide if it is right time to switch and how to manage it with the office load.
that's I mean, for some it might be a uh, controversial question, but yeah, okay. So, switching an organization is something I would say that, uh, so there are different aspects associated to it. So if you, let's say, if the type of work that you're involved with gets to be monotonous, gets to be redundant, I mean, you're actually solving the same similar set of problems, and you're actually not getting challenged every day. In that case, the person seems to be, have a feeling that they're not developing themselves. Okay, so
Hmm.
you as an individual, as a developer, are not improving. And once you go into that stagnant phase, then trust me, you will be in a trouble down the line, going forward in some time. Because the pace at which the industry is evolving, the pace at which individuals are evolving, so you need to keep in order to compete with all of them, in order to be a part of this industry in the long run. You actually need to keep yourself updated, and updated to a great extent. And if you are working on the same set of problems every other day, in that case, you're not improving. And in the longer run, that will have a very adverse effect on your entire career. So I would say that if you are getting that feel in any of the organization that you're not you're just not feeling that you're improving on daily basis. Also, if you're having any other this is one of the reasons why I feel a person should switch. But yeah, it's just not the only reason. There are also plenty other reasons. If you're not comfortable in an organization due to some xyz reason, if probably you're not then I would recommend that probably you should try switching a team within the same organization. If it's the organization's culture that probably is troubling you, In that case, there's actually some problem with the organization itself. In that case, you can definitely try looking up for something else. Or if there is something else that you feel that you might be more interested towards, in that case, you should definitely try that option out. So there are plenty of opportunities out there, and it's your call which exactly is the thing that you need to devote your time towards. So if you get a feel of it, you should definitely try switching. That's not a not.
They're saying thanks for the
That's the
clarity. They're saying
personal
thanks for the clarity. Know my next move now. You know, I just thanks for the clarity. Know my next move now. Okay, fine.
that's
Fine, Shivam. All right. Anyways, let's pick up next question. We can give 10 more minutes to this process. So I think we can pick like 2 3 questions more. I think. So
sure.
which one do you wanna go with? Mm,
Okay, last. How
okay,
important are advanced data structures like try?
like 3, I guess.
Try is like a
Try.
data
Okay.
structure. Yeah.
All right.
So try is, try is a common data structure. I mean, it's not a very advanced data structure, I would say. And you're actually, you can be asked questions related to try in any of the interviews. Yeah, it's less probable that you'll be asked any question related to try. But yes, if you are asked, you can't just, say that I don't know try, because it's a common data structure. And we use that, it's being extensively used with string manipulations. So I would say that when you are combining try with advanced data structure, in that case, that's not the right thing. But yeah, for me, I would consider advanced data structures as, as probably AVL trees, red black trees, and probably complex graph algorithms and stuff like that. That's what I consider as advanced data structures. And to be honest, in 99% of the interviews, you won't be asked that. And that's what I have personally observed. I personally haven't asked anyone. I haven't been asked any of that question in my entire 4 years of career, where, given the fact that, I've taken a lot of interviews, and also I've given a lot of interviews, I've cleared a lot of company interviews. So I personally haven't been in that scenario till now, that I've been asked a very complex data structure like AVL tree or something like that. It's just that, no one expects you to actually write them, because that definitely consumes a lot of time, while when you actually need to code that solution. And since, given the fact your interviews are time boxed, in a period of 1 hour, you need to actually cover a lot of things. You actually need to, analyze a problem. You actually need to develop a optimized solution towards it, and also you need to actually code it, and code it in a great manner. I mean, which should be, a production ready code. So that's like the terminology that these organizations use, that you should be writing a production ready code. So in that case, if the question that you're being asked is involves something of that complexity, then that's not something which can be solved in a span of 1 hour. And you also don't have 1 hour, you have just like 45 minutes effectively, because the rest of the 15 minutes go here and there about an introduction, about different discussions. And in the remaining 45 minutes, you actually need to come up with an optimized approach. Then you need to code it. And that's why people tend to keep it simple 99% of the times. They just try to analyze your problem solving skills with the very minimal and simple data structures. It's just that how good are you at problem solving, how good are you at your, implementation skills, whether you are able to articulate your thoughts in a structured manner, and you're actually able to implement that via code in any language of your choice. So that's what people are trying to analyze. They're not just trying to analyze that how much have you read. That's not what they're trying to analyze.
All right.
So I won't say that. Yeah, it's very
Okay.
important.
And just before we select the next question, I just want to mention that the reason, like students might be thinking, I am posting my question again and again, still my question is not getting picked up. I'm just telling them the reason you're spamming is your question is not getting picked up. You're even killing the probability of it. Please don't spam on this feed because everyone is putting their questions and waiting. We are trying to solve as much as possible in this time possible, and we every day do such webinars, so every day we'll have a doubt solving segment. So please respect other people's that uh, time and clarity too. That feed should be clean, please. Thank you. So next question, Raghav. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
uh,
choose.
If it's possible, we can talk about this one. Vibhushi asked that, hello sir, what can be the whole strategy from beginner to advanced level to become master in DSA? And choosing C++ is okay in today's scenario, like in mind.
Yes. So hey Vibhushi, as I said that firstly I'll cover the part where choosing C++. You are skeptical about the fact that whether C++ would be the right choice. So I won't say it's right or wrong. It's just that if you're coding in C++, no one will stop you, no one will reject you on that basis. If you're good at C++, you can be good at Java, you can be good at any other problems object oriented language, and you can ramp up with those pretty easily. That wouldn't be a task. Okay, so if you're good at C++, you're able to implement your solutions in C++, you'll be able to do it in other languages also. It's just that you'll require some time to learn that technology, learn the syntax, learn the individual aspects of it. Now, it's just that C++ is not something that is being heavily used in the upcoming organizations. So the companies which are starting from scratch, like in these days, you can see every other day there's a new startup coming up. So all of these different companies, they are not actually working on C++. Most of them, at least. Okay,
Hmm.
due to that fact, C++, when you are working in C++, it's just that no one will reject you on that basis, but y- it's less likely that you will be
Working on C++.
you are working on C++ when you actually
Then you
become a part.
again need to learn another language again.
Exactly,
So you
exactly.
can also start with the, yeah.
Exactly. So if you have the freedom of choosing a language, in that case, I would, as I said previously mentioned, that try to go by something that has a industry scope as well in today's world. So that gives you an edge, firstly, in the interviews, in the selection criteria. Also, it enables you to quickly start contributing as soon as you become a part of any organization. The ramp up time is less. Okay, so that's something. Now, coming back to the first part of the question, that what can be the whole strategy from beginner to advanced level to become master in DSA? Okay, master in DSA is a, I don't think
Very
that's
strong word, I would
right.
say.
Right. Yeah, I
Uh,
haven't seen a master in DSA yet. So, uh, but yeah, it's like you can be sufficiently good at DSA, and as I said, just start with the bare minimum. Just start with the basics. Just start with the language. Learn about its concepts. Learn about how to how to run a loop, how to write conditional statements, how to write variables, how to write declare variables, how to use how to use the language. After that,
okay.
start up with basic data structures, with basic algorithms like sorting, searching, and arrays, linked lists, and greedy algorithms, and then just try to extend this to a bit complex things like binary trees, binary heaps, and stacks, queues, dynamic programming, stuff like that. Just try to go in a fashion like so that you're not right away jumping onto something that is too much overwhelming for you in the beginning. Okay,
Hmm.
so it's like if I talk about probably if let's say you're working in C++, if you just straight directly jump towards binary tree or a linked list, you won't be able to relate it, right? If you don't have the context of arrays, or if you don't have the context of pointers, of classes, of objects. So it's like everything is a step by step process, that if there's a prerequisite for something, like if you need to cover something which asks for a prerequisite, then you definitely have to cover that prerequisite first. And when you follow that approach, then the things eventually come down to the place that you need to start with the minimum basics, and slowly start approaching towards slowly try to increase the complexity of the topics that you're reading. Also slowly start increasing the complexity of the questions that you're solving, but do not right away jump into it. It's a it's a gradual process, and if it happens gradually, it will stay for you longer. It will stay with you longer. If you try to mug up things in a small span of time, in that case, you'll actually you have very great chances that after again a small span of time, you will be completely out of context, because that in that case you're not actually developing your intuition towards the problem solving, towards
Yeah.
data structure and algorithms. You're just mugging up different concepts and putting everything in your brain at once, just trying to memorize stuff, just trying to recall stuff in the interviews. That okay, I read this question somewhere. Let me just try to recall how did I do it. If you're just going by that approach, in that case, you never will be a good problem solver, and that will have a very adverse effect on your entire journey.
I,
So that's
I
why
think Raghav,
just
personally, this is very well put according to me, because the perception you are showing, right? It will really open the mind towards problem solving. I think
exactly.
that's the
So
fundamental. If you get the fundamentals right, you can do all the decoration around it.
exactly. So the
So like,
decoration comes later, right? It's a basic building blocks that comes first, and the basic building block is problem solving. Try to be good at it. Try to increase your levels gradually.
all right. Raghav, I think we took many questions, but I can see that you want to take. Okay, last one. Should we take a last one?
I mean, I'm
Let's,
totally fine. We still
let's take
have.
a last. Let's take one more question. Okay. Yeah,
Sure,
you can
sure.
choose the.
Okay, I just last interview. The last people are saying, can we use Python for DSA interview? And DSA interview, Python is yeah. I mean, it's a
Um,
very
which
popular
language
for.
is best for DSN algorithm? Pooja, we already talked
We've
about this in
already
the
talked about it.
previous.
Is
Uh,
competitive programming necessary for placements? This is again a great question.
okay, let's
So
take
yeah, okay, let's take this. Is competitive
yeah,
programming?
last question. Okay.
Uh, I okay. I just I'll let you guys know. I haven't done competitive programming ever, so that is something
Take
that
yeah, and answer
since
the
I mentioned that I come from an electronics and communication branch. Back in college, I didn't have that bandwidth. I also realized the need of data structures algorithms at a later point of time. So that's why I just didn't have that much time that I can devote my time towards competitive programming. And
okay.
now coming forward 4 years from my college, I'm I can strongly say that competitive programming is not a necessity. It's just an add-on. It definitely gives you an edge because it's like you are required to be solving problems of level X. With competitive programming, you are already getting aware of 10x level problems, and you are doing that on a regular basis. So you'll get to a scenario where uh, things which might seem complex to beginners are actually a cakewalk for you. Once you have you've been a part of competitive programming culture for some time. So in that case, the basic algorithms which are actually the expectations in these technical interviews, they become a cakewalk for you. So it definitely gives you an edge. But if you ask me whether that's a necessity, so that's definitely not the necessity. I mean, you just don't have to do it. No one is asking you such level of questions. No one is asking you, no one is actually uh, trying to uh, screen you on the basis of your code chef or geeks for geeks or code forces ranking. No one is doing that. It's just that it gives you an edge. It gives you an edge on your level of understanding that if you're doing competitive programming on regular basis, then definitely you'll be able to solve the basic questions with relative with much ease
You
as
can solve
compared
faster
to.
also. I think faster also you can solve the problems. It
Exactly,
also
you'll be able to.
just speed.
Yeah. So it improves your speed, it improves your complete understanding of the language, it improves your implementation skills. So it gives you an
Okay.
edge, but that's not a necessity.
Okay.
I haven't, and till now I haven't ever faced any such challenge that if I would have done competitive programming, then things would have been better. I haven't actually faced any point of time at any point of time I have not realized such a thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
And on that note, I would say that though you haven't done competitive programming till now, but let me tell the chat again that you're doing commendable in your career, and I know there's nothing holding you back now. You'll take more jumps. Yeah,
Thank you
definitely,
again.
and I wish you
That's
good luck for that. Really, you really are really good in a very clear and elaborate way. You explained with absolute involvement, and I really respect that. Also, your so people can connect with you. Obviously, you'll get some request on LinkedIn. Your profile link is in the YouTube description. So
Yeah.
I hope it will be fine if students can ask some doubts over there, and if you're free, you can get back to them.
Yes, sure. I actually try my best to,
Yeah,
solve lots of people who actually approach me on LinkedIn. It's just that I I can't guarantee that I'll be replying to everyone, but yeah, I'll try my best.
of this. Yeah, we understand you have your work, and our students also understand that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's how it is. So, all right, Raghav, thank you so much again for joining us. And it was a great session. I loved every bit of it because I learned myself a lot, and I'm trying to learn new things. So, in terms of what coders are doing as an impact in the society, and you're doing a great job, really.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you, Raghav. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining us.
much, Akshay. Thanks everyone
You will
who
say
joined.
goodbye to the audience. Please take your time.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Whoever is commenting with such enthusiasm in the chats. I understand you guys are full of enthusiasm in yourselves, and you're just ready to get launched.
Yeah,
So
good
it's just that
placement.
I apologize if we were not able to take up everyone's questions, but that's due to the time constraint that we have.
Yeah.
But yes, I wish all of you best of luck in your future endeavors, and yep, hope to see you and see any one of
Yes,
you probably in any of the companies that I'll be
yeah, one of
working
them
with.
might join your team maybe
Yeah,
someday.
definitely. Who knows?
Yeah, okay. All right, Raghav. Thank you so much, man. Take care. Be safe. Bye.
Thank you, Akshay. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was it. I hope you liked this session. And I would like to tell you about first step to DSA course. The link is in the YouTube description. Check it out, guys. Uh, and I know there's some questions which were left, but those questions can be addressed in every day. We'll come up with webinars and we'll take up doubt solving segment. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. we have our third day of skill dependence days, and on that we'll talk about system design. So what's the importance of system design as a skill, particularly for SG2 and SG3 designations, and how it can really help you in upscaling your career. So we'll talk about that. Join us, and we'll also take your doubts. And Monday onwards, every day, webinars, doubt solving sessions, interview experiences, and live segments, live mock DSA series. So thanks for being such a lovely audience. Please don't spam. I'm really sorry I had to time out few users because they were spamming. But please understand that it was I was helpless too, because it's really important to keep the feed clean and we can see each and every question, because we can't see the questions then. It gets really cluttered. So please respect that. Akshay Bhaskar this side. Feel free to join with me on LinkedIn and fill the forms if you want to feature on our webinars. You want to share your interview experience, or you want to go through the live mock PSA round. You fill the forms in the YouTube description. Take care, guys. Be safe and stay at home and get vaccinated as soon as possible. Can keep learning, keep growing.